Well, hello, Liberty listeners. Welcome to another episode of Liberty Road. Today, you guys get to hear from the co-founder and CEO of Credo Beauty, Annie Jackson. And Annie is somebody who spoke at our LTD live event, and everybody in that room fell in love with her. So I know you're going to as well. Annie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Your story is a great one. And it's I think it's what I like about yours is you've stayed in a particular industry, unlike some of the stories we have where somebody's had this giant pivot, but you took on something that was kind of a behemoth project in becoming a founder. So let's start from the beginning. First, let's tell people, what is Credo Beauty?
Okay. Credo is a clean beauty retailer, and we have 15 stores across the US, and we carry multiple brands. We have about 130 brands, primarily in makeup and skincare. And we have a very strict standard that we vet our brands against called the Credo Clean Standard.
And those standards we can check out if we go to the website, right? So
Yes,
everything is spelled out there for you.
it
And
is.
how many stores do you guys have?
We have 15, about to be 16. We're opening in Portland, Oregon in August.
Awesome. Lucky them. So that's where you are now. Let's go all the way back to beginning.
Oh, God.
How does one get started in the beauty industry?
Well, I got started in a very unorthodox way, I guess. I started at Estée Lauder by total happenstance. I was running out the door to go to an interview at a porta potty company. And I was 19 years old, and I got a phone call. This is pre-internet. And I got a phone call that I had an interview for a resume I sent in for a company that it had no name, but it was closer. So I was like, oh, I'll save the gas money, and I'll just forget the porta potty company and go to this one that's closer. And so I went to this little office park. This is in the heyday of when Estee Lauder, Clinique, all the Estee Lauder companies had like little satellite offices. And we had an Estee Lauder regional office here in Northern California. I'm in Sausalito today. And I walked in and saw this beautiful photograph of Paulina Porizkova, like on some Greek terrace. And I was like, where am I? Yeah, it was, just kind of a happenstance. And I started out as an administrative assistant. I got coffee for John Dempsey when he came to town and organized Mr. Lauder's van tours across all the different retailers. And it was really just like an amazing start. I knew nothing.
Yeah.
I graduated early. I took my GED in high school and jumped straight to traveling and working on charter boats. If you guys ever see Below Deck,
Yeah.
I was living that life. And all that stuff happened.
Hilarious.
But yeah, I knew nothing, and they were very patient and encouraging, offered a lot of like external learning, but basically I got a great foundation in how to operate really professionally. Like it was like, at those days, your earrings had to be like the size of a quarter and no bigger. Wear shoulder pads,
Oh my gosh.
always have lipstick on, and it better be Estee Lauder's. That was how I kind of grew up.
Wow. And so we know that you didn't end up there initially because you had big dreams of being in the beauty industry, that it was sort
No.
of some circumstances that got you there. What kept you there? What was like for you the thing that clicked?
I think probably because I got support and encouragement, I started to excel in the company and really move up and see, other opportunities. I ended up in the New York office working for the Estee Lauder brand. And I mean, I don't think, other than my parents, I don't think anyone was more shocked than me. I think, when you bail out of high school and you grow up a little and you look back at that decision, you think, you idiot.
Yeah.
What the hell were you thinking? It was just impulsive. And I was like, you know what? I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
This is not fulfilling me. And I'm just going to like get started now
Yeah.
on life. And, I think the fact that I had this, I recognized fully this was an incredible opportunity. And basically every day in my head, I was like, Annie, do not F this up.
Yeah.
Because like, how do you get an opportunity like this?
Which is probably, I mean, that's what kept you there, but that's also what kept you motivated when you were there, right? And that
Yeah.
excelling was understanding, hey, I'm lucky to have this.
Yeah.
And uh, we know the importance of that now at our age. Like
Yeah.
as we see young people coming into that space, like, this is an opportunity. Take advantage of it. What did you love about the work that you were doing? So not about the industry or Estee Lauder specifically, but the work that you were doing. What was driving you? What were you seeing in Annie that was like, oh, this is something she could do. I didn't know that about her.
Yeah. I think what surprised me the most was that I think I looked at beauty products as frivolous before
Mhm.
that. And I didn't understand, I was lucky enough to work at Estee Lauder with Mrs. Estee Lauder, still kind of visiting the office so often, um, coming and making appearances at sales meetings. I mean, I would walk by her
Wow.
office and look at it. I mean, it was like amazing to me. It wasn't lost on me who she was and what she created. And I think I saw firsthand the impact that beauty can have on people and how that can instill self-confidence and really just put a smile on someone's face. And I thought it was really powerful. And I was really, really inspired by that. And I thought, I'm part of the biggest brand in the whole world.
Yeah.
And I have this little tiny seat here, and it was thrilling.
Yeah.
I mean, when those elevator doors open and it had in gilded gold cursive Estee Lauder. I mean, every day I would walk out of that elevator and be like, how am I here?
That's
This
amazing.
is nuts.
That's amazing. And clearly you took full advantage of it because take us to the next step of your amazing career because you got to do something another thing that was equally amazing.
Yeah, God, I lucked out. I think a lot of this is luck. I really was thinking when I started getting itchy feet at Estee Lauder, and a lot of it was due to my now husband. He and I were doing the long
Yeah.
distance dating thing, and I missed home. I'm a San Francisco kid, and I really wanted to get home. I really wanted to stop kind of going back and forth. And I was starting to feel like, okay, I've done the beauty thing for a while. It's time to explore something different. And so I had honestly started working with a recruiter, and she had connected me with some opportunities at duty free shoppers, which
Uh-huh.
was a big
Uh-huh.
deal before 9/11. And I remember she called me and said, I have this amazing opportunity in tobacco and candy, or this other opportunity that's kind of top secret and it's still in beauty though. And they want you to come and interview for both. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
if they're both in San Francisco, like sign me up. I'm here. So I interviewed, and the top secret concept was
Yeah.
Sephora. And it scared me because here I am at Estee Lauder. I knew I had this great opportunity, but I still didn't have like the resume most people have, where it's got like the 4-year degree and like you did all this amazing stuff, and on top of it had a great job. So I, thought it was kind of a long shot. I interviewed with someone that's my favorite human still today, Steve Bach. He's like a legend. And I absolutely adored him. And anyone that meets him, he has this
Mm,
magnetism that you just love him immediately. He was running merchandising for this concept. And I started as an inventory planner, one of a handful of people. We hadn't opened a store quite yet. We were about to open Soho. And I was like, this is too exciting. I didn't know yet that I had like this
yeah.
entrepreneurial fire. I just was like, okay, San Francisco, this guy's awesome. It sounds
Yeah.
exciting, like what they're endeavoring to do. And I get to go home.
Yeah.
And clincher, they were going to pay me the same amount I was making in New York. And, back in those days, San Francisco rents were way below New York.
Sure.
That's different
Yeah. Yeah.
now. But back then, it was cheap to live in the Bay Area. So I was like, score,
I'm
go.
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And of course, we know now what Sephora became, but back then it was probably a risk, right? Like, what am I
Totally.
doing? I'm leaving this kind of heritage brand to step into this. I don't know what this is. I hope this works out, even though it was exciting and you loved Steve and it was an adventure. Um, and so we kind of know to some degree how the story ends and that it was a success, but how did it go for you? What did you learn there?
Oh my God, so much. But you're right. It was a risk. And my dad was he was a serial entrepreneur. And so if anyone was going to understand this move, it was going to be him. He wrote me a like 4-page letter, like handwritten on the yellow legal
Yeah.
paper. He was like, what are you doing? Like, you have a great job. You're in New York City. You keep your head down and just stay
Yeah.
there. And I was like, no, I mean, if there was anything that was going to motivate me more, it was like my dad telling me
Yeah.
no. Like, okay, well, now I'm really going to go. Um, so I did it. And yeah, I mean, we were doing everything at Sephora back then, designing stores, finding brands, setting up systems. It was so fun.
Yeah.
It was so fun. I mean, I think the average age of the team was 28.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know how old I was, 26, something like that. And here we were kids traveling the world at the same time that we had to open all these stores in the US. LVMH said, oh, and hey, we're going to open all these stores in Japan too. And they wanted us to do that. So I was literally going between Tokyo, Paris, and San Francisco on repeat as a 26-year-old kid.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
It was like a dream.
Yeah.
It was a total dream.
Well, and clearly for them too to have that kind of energy and that kind of experience to have somebody who came from Estee Lauder, and you talk about the 4-year degree, and what I see in that, especially now, is somebody who was able without one to excel. Oh,
Yeah.
who is that person? I want to meet her. I want to talk to her. Who is the person who took a different path and made so much for herself. So, lesson to all of us who are listening and thinking, we don't quite have the traditional pedigree. We don't quite have the traditional trajectory, or haven't taken the traditional trajectory, that there's so much that we still have to offer. In fact, and probably more so.
Yeah. I think as a parent now, I think we do a real disservice to kids to make them feel like they have to understand with zero experience what they're meant to do in
Yeah.
life. Go get this degree, and then that's what you have to do. Because I just spent $250,000, if not more, getting
Yeah.
you this degree. And I think it's not to say that, everyone can go out there and take risks and be all willy nilly with what they're going to go do and maybe some financial investments that have been made. But I think my real learning, my parents were total hippies. And they always say, what is the lesson, Annie, that you learned? The lesson I learned is if you want to take the path less traveled, you'll find someone on that path willing to take a chance. You just got to find them.
Yeah.
Because I can't tell you how many, and this is I'm not picking on anyone with an art history degree,
Yeah.
but 99% of the people we interview have an art history degree. Because what are you going to do with an art history degree to
Yeah.
pay the rent?
Yeah.
And that's what it really comes down to. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I never look or care where or if someone went to college. What I care about is, the experience they have for this job, and, if it's relevant and they can do it. But even if they can't, our head of marketing, who's been with me since day one, helped me found this company. She started about a year after I started Credo, was a merchant at Pottery Barn before this. And she is the most, I wouldn't trade her for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, she is killing it. She made Credo what it is. And it's like, I took a chance on her because she was so passionate about what we were doing. And she was so bought in. And you can't find that.
Yeah.
I interview so many people, both with degrees, without, whatever. And I can't tell you how many people I ask, so have you visited a Credo store or visited our site? I haven't had a chance yet. Well, how interested are you in what we're doing? And then there's the kid that's like, I love what you're doing. I love your mission. I love all your brands, and who do you think I'm going to go
Sure.
for?
Sure. It also strikes me as you're saying this, I'm having a little bit of an aha moment that the path that you took actually ends up now at this stage in life, which we care so much about here at Liberty Road, is allowing you to open doors to other people who took non-traditional paths, right?
Yeah.
That your story is informing how you support other people and how you help them create their story. That the thing that at some point in your life you may have said, shoot, I didn't do that thing, or there's,
Yeah.
it actually ends up being your secret sauce. And
Yeah.
it has created opportunity for other people. So I want our listeners to hear that. What is that for them? That
Yeah.
was a path that they took that was different. And how is that now possibly the secret to what
Yeah.
they can,
And paying it back. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
I didn't know I was paying it back until I got older and realized it.
yeah,
But I think that, you don't get very many awesome opportunities in life. And I think, really seeing people for their passion and what they want to do, it does so much.
yeah. I love that. And I love that, and it's very consistent with who I know you to be. You are one of the most generous, um I'll say not just CEOs, but women in a powerful position.
Thank you.
And from meeting you for the first time, from your openness to learn more about what I'm doing and making connections for me, you are exactly, when we talk about women supporting women, you are walking that walk. And I appreciate that so much about you and the way you work. Okay. So awesome experience at Sephora. You still not, you're both of these jobs have been working for somebody else. And then at some point you decide, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I took a brief foray and owned my own store. It was fun, but it was right before the big, financial crisis in 2008. So quickly jumped ship from that. But I was kind of like, I like doing my own thing. I
Yeah.
had, after that, went back to Benefit and, or went to Benefit Cosmetics and just kind of working, doing my thing, working with Julie Bell and running the product development, product marketing team. And it was fun. Gene and Jane Ford were crazy and awesome and dynamic and fearless, and lots of stories from that
I'm
experience.
sure. I'm sure.
Long story short is I did find my way back to Sephora and was with Sephora inside JCPenney. And my old colleague and friend from many different jaunts in cosmetics was Shashi. And he said, I'm working on this thing. And I was kind of burned out at that point. And he was like, I'm working on this cool thing. It's just this concept I'm kicking around, basically about a natural beauty store. And I was like, okay, I'll help you network and find people for this thing, but I am not interested. Like, I am going to take a year off for the first time in my life. I'm going to hang with my kids, do all that stuff. Well, 3 months into that, I was like, wow, what do people do when they take a year off? I'm not really a hobby person. I
Yeah.
feel like hobbies, work is my hobby. And it's really, I really enjoy it if it's enjoyable work. And so I said, Shashi was still working on this thing, noodling around on this concept. And I said, hey, how about I consult? And because I'm just kind of intrigued now to
Yeah.
see, like, with this concept that you have, could we fill a store? Because the concept was cool. It was like a really good challenge because it wasn't like creating natural beauty 2.0.
Yeah.
It was, can you open a store on the high streets of the US and actually get a conventional beauty shopper to shop brands that meet the efficacy, meet the components, the whole vibe would be the same as your experience with like an SK2 or a La Prairie or a Kiehl's or whatever. And I was like, could we find enough brands? Like, I'm just curious. Um, so yeah, I started consulting with him. Back then, the Think Dirty app was a thing. So I downloaded it. This was very novel at that time. I downloaded it, went into Whole Foods and started scanning everything.
Yeah.
Scanning everything in my bathroom. And it really gave me like a moment to think. I mean, I think we've all heard stories now of women having their aha moment of like, oh my God, I didn't realize the ingredients and products. But back then, it was really unheard of. And I had a real moment of reckoning where, like, God, just came from product development and benefit. I've only worked as a merchant, helping brands sell their products, and all we ever talk about is, does it work? Does the payoff, of color actually work? Does it work in the component? Does it smell great? Never once did we say, like, is this good for you?
Yeah.
What's in these products? When we throw them away, what happens? Where does it go? What's the impact on the environment? And I kind of had like, wow, like we're really creating a big mess here. And then the learnings of the, potential hazards of some of these ingredients was really, it made me feel bad, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can be a solution provider. I can
Yeah.
take my expertise, I can take what I know, I can take the way it makes women feel, which
Yeah.
became something that was important to you. You talked about it,
Yeah.
Estée Lauder. Um, but we can turn this around and we can tell
Yeah.
a different story and we can hold ourselves as a company accountable, but other brands that we bring in
Yeah.
accountable to something that's
It became like this really interesting emotional and intellectual play.
mm,
Like, can you meet a customer where they're at and, tap into this intellectual side of them where it's like, don't you want to know more? Let's give you brands that are really transparent so you can feel empowered about the decision you're making. And, and the emotional side of buying beauty. It should put a smile on your face. It should make you happy. And we always wanted to balance the experience at Credo with, hey, sometimes people just want to buy a red lipstick and not be preached to. We get that.
yeah,
And others are like, I want to know everything in this product. I want to know everything about the founder. I want to know why they did this, who they support, and then I'll try the product. So it is this very interesting time, and it's only grown.
it's only grown. And I think the way it's grown is also a product of how we the consumer have grown and we start to care
Yeah,
about things like it's not just the ingredients that are inside a product. It's again what happens to the packaging. It's not just the absence of one harmful ingredient doesn't mean that there's not other harmful ingredients. So
Yeah.
how do we read through the marketing? How do we cut through the clutter?
Yeah.
And the reason at the top of the conversation, I mentioned that information existed on the website is it's been helpful for me to go
Yeah.
through and see, okay, what does Credo say?
Yeah.
What would Credo do?
Yeah.
And to have that sort of baseline
That's
as
so meaningful to me.
yeah,
I think I think most people think that products are vetted somewhere for safety before they go on a shelf. They're not. And I think also everything you mentioned is absolutely true. But I think what was also a big learning, and or we're not perfect, we don't have it figured out, is there's a number of ingredients, a lot of them with no data.
mm,
Doesn't mean they're good, doesn't mean they're bad. But shouldn't we know the hazard data or the inherent risk around some of these ingredients? Just because there's no data doesn't mean it's great. So it's like, I think, um, I think we must do this work. I
yeah,
think there's too much at stake. There's too many brands out there. I think we're just getting started, really. Like, I think, ingredients is one thing, certainly, but drawing attention to this customer that is demanding better, demanding transparency, demanding to know more why things are in certain products is only going to drive market share to those brands and away from brands that are choosing to do nothing and
sure,
put their head in the sand and
sure.
say, like, yeah, we're cool with virgin plastic and single use formats that'll never leave landfill, and like using PFAS in our eyeshadow. We're cool with that. It's not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay. And also something that you've said to me before, just because something is marketed to a specific demographic doesn't mean it's the only solution, right? That
Yeah.
there are lots of things, there are lots of products, and I'll speak very specifically to the aging products that are out there.
Mhm.
There are lots of really good products for you just because they don't say pro age or anti age or whatever the language of
Yeah.
the moment is. Um, they're still good for you. And so who do
Yeah.
we trust? Who do we go to? Who's our go-to? Okay. So I'm getting away from your story here. So you get really excited about all the things we just talked about. You
Yes.
go back to Shashi and you say, "Okay, I'm not just a consultant. I want to play." How does that
Yeah.
work?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's kind of, we were always like such a good duo. Like, he had great vision. We always joke we're like Sunny and Cher of beauty. Cause he was comfortable, like looking 3 years ahead. And like, I was kind of running behind him doing the stuff
Yeah.
right here and now. And that worked great for us. And we joke that he could sell paper bags to a paper bag salesman. He was so articulate and so excited about what we were doing. Brands adored him. We were just having the time of our life. And if I'm being honest, we were super excited about the concept of Credo, but truth be told, like, we were probably most excited that we were doing this
Yeah.
together on our own terms in our jeans.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
be totally honest, that was like what we were most excited about. And we had a good run for a couple of years, and then he got sick, and he passed away from cancer about 8 months after he was diagnosed.
Hmm.
So it was tough.
It's really tough and a lot for you who was coming alongside this visionary. You had just said, I'm the day-to-day make it happen person.
Yeah,
So there must have been a moment of alongside the grieving, you lost a dear friend,
yeah,
a moment of like, okay, well, that was a good idea. We're gonna put that to bed, but you didn't. What was that
yeah.
decision?
Yeah, there was never a thought in my mind. I think I was like, we have started something amazing. Watching the brand founders that we worked with feel so invested in what we were doing. Many of them at the time weren't in any other points of distribution. And they were like, we've been waiting for something like what you're creating. Like, this is perfect. And they were founders, or are founders, that are our values align, and
Yeah.
that's meaningful to them. And so we were on to something. And this was his vision. And I mean, not a chance in hell I was going to give that up.
And probably there was a moment or a thought of it's his legacy too, like what you're
Oh, yeah.
continuing is part
Yeah.
of that legacy. What a gift and what a partnership. And I'm sure there are so many moments, since then where it's a what if he was here? What would all the things you've learned about him, and
Oh,
how would he have done this, and what is he laughing at? And
oh my God. I mean, I think not a day goes by that I don't like think to myself, dude, if we could just talk, you would not believe what's going on.
what's happening here? Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And so now you're not a partner. Now you're going at this solo, right?
Yeah.
What shifts for you? Somebody who again has come from working with other people, working for big brands, working for people where you don't have to worry about the money, right? You're just
Mhm.
worried about getting
Yeah.
paid, but you're
Yeah.
not worried about the money in the company. And now you're doing this solo.
Mhm.
What is that solo Annie Jackson kind of what turns up for her, in terms of other things in you that were showing up that you didn't know you were capable of doing or you hadn't tapped into?
Yeah. Wow. We have investors. I wouldn't consider them investors. I would consider them co-founders, friends. They probably have a dartboard with my face. No, they're amazing. And so I have them, and I have them as a resource. They've been through it with me. We've been there together since the beginning. The initial, coming together was because Shashi was friends with Sebastian Lepinard, who is the founding partner of Next World, who's our financial backers. Um, so I still have them in my life, and they back Credo. They're an evergreen fund. So our capital source has been constant, very supportive. So it's huge. I mean,
Yeah.
I listen to all of our brand partners either be mostly bootstrapped themselves or just taking on investment or trying to figure that out. It's so stressful. Like, how are you building a brand over here and also trying to do that, which is an absolute, not even a full-time job, more than full-time job, and so stressful. Like, am I going to make payroll? Can I have a new product development calendar, all that stuff. So I'm not alone, but I'm alone in the sense that suddenly I'm running this company, and the responsibility and the financial weight of not wanting to screw this up.
Sure.
They didn't put their trust in me. They put their trust in Shashi. And so, I struggled with this a lot. We hired two CEOs since we've lost Shashi and that was me raising my hand saying, I want to do right by you guys. This is a big deal. It's capital intensive. I don't want this to fail. I've got a bunch of committed, amazing team members. Like, can't let them down. I can't let Shashi down. So, we did have two CEOs during this time, but I think after honestly having them in the business was really helpful because when it came time to say like, it just needs to be me. I knew that.
Yeah.
I could see that clearly.
Interesting. I mean, you probably had an opportunity to see how two different people, three, if you include
Yeah.
Shashi, ran this,
Hmm.
learned from them, and also had the opportunity to sort of build up in yourself. You know what? I know what I'm doing. I'm
Yeah.
capable of this. That you needed that time. How has as this is all happening, you're also aging, right? You're also, and I mean that in the best way. You're growing into your wisdom, you're maturing,
Yeah.
you're getting you're beyond your sea legs now, right? You've got this foundation. How was that an asset or a superpower for you as you continue to grow Credo?
Um, I think a big one because then I could really trust my experience. I think, you know, when you get older, you really can draw from experience and say like, hey, I've been through this. This is not my first rodeo. I know how to answer this question. I know how to handle this situation. And because every day in this life that I'm living, every single day, some big challenge happens.
Yeah.
And I don't have a guidebook. I don't have like, oh, let me just Google that. There's always something. And, I have enough years behind me, honestly, to feel confident that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. And you also know that this too shall pass, whatever this moment is.
Yes.
You've been through enough of those moments, and you know that you have within you whatever is required to get through that moment, even if you don't have a Google, directions via Google.
Yeah.
You know that you'll figure it out. Um, Credo Beauty, you just mentioned, is opening their 16th store.
Yes.
Okay, in Portland. What is your hope for the future of Credo?
My hope for the future of Credo is that it takes a while, especially with retail, to economically prove the concept that
Mhm.
this can be rolled out in 150 locations. Nowadays, clean beauty is very common. Customers are very educated and, like I said, empowered to make their decisions. So this is no longer like a major city play. This is suburban neighborhoods that Credo could grow into. And that's really what I would like to see, because at the end of the day, it's, for me, for better or for worse, it's never been about like some big payout. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But to me, that's not what motivates me. What motivates me is all these brand founders that I work with working so hard, not cutting corners, making costly decisions on ingredients, and basically going the hard way and not the easy way to create these brands, and seeing scale,
Yeah.
hiring people, getting an office, starting to feel like they can breathe a little bit. And the only way that we're going to do that is if we grow. And if we grow, it also means in neighborhoods across the nation, all these amazing brands have a platform in someone's backyard.
Yeah.
And that's really meaningful to me.
And all these women, all these consumers, all these, it's beyond women that can
Yeah.
access what you have at Credo Beauty, but are now ingesting, um, participating in a movement that is beyond themselves. But ingesting is not the right word, but applying,
Yeah.
using, um, all these products that are better for them, and
Yeah.
you're educating them along the way. We had the good fortune of doing, thanks to you, an event in New York, very last minute, and we brought together a handful of women, many of them in their respective areas, kind of powerhouses. And I can't tell you how they were like, this is awesome. And it was like, hurry and stop talking so we can shop. Like that was
Yeah.
that. I got the message. I was like, okay, I'll stop talking so you guys can shop. So what you're doing is having, continues to have an impact, and I have no doubt will into the future. I have to ask you, you have just evidenced by this conversation how many people, brands and consumers alike, are liberated by the work that you're doing through both through Credo Beauty very specifically, but also through who you are as a powerhouse woman. How are you liberated by this work?
I think if you go back to my kind of origin story, you know, I don't think I ever really trusted myself. I always suffered greatly from imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to be here? Like, I don't have any training. Like, I don't have the experience everybody else around me has. Especially when Sephora started to grow, it became very competitive. And now I think I just trust
Hmm.
myself. And there's such solace in that. Like, I know I got this, and you can't buy that feeling. And I like our team, they're so incredible, working so hard. There's not very many of them, but to know that I can lead them and we're going to make this thing go, I know it, is hugely, it's like there's nothing like it.
I love it. And thank you for those words because you're inspiring me. I know you will inspire so many others who are listening who suffer from their own, in their respective worlds, imposter syndrome, and
Yeah.
just being able to rely on what they do know about themselves and that they are made for this moment,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Thank you. Thank you for being a part of that
Thank
today
you.
and always. And thanks for just spending this time with us. I love your story so much. It's such a good one.
Thank you, Netta.
Absolutely. And Liberty listeners, thanks for hanging out with Annie and with me. We'll have all kinds of links for you on how you can access Credo Beauty, the different locations, and the information that Annie was talking about to check out what products should you be putting on your face? What products should you be washing your hands and your hair with? It's all on there. So we'll have that for you guys in the show notes, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye for now.